Okay, so you guys want me to sit here today, all right? And the conversation I want to have today is actually very simple. It's a conversation that has been going on online for a while, especially with people like myself who have changed, as we keep hearing, We hear guys saying, we have changed, we're no longer in opposition, we are simping, we're looking for work. And let me give an example of why some of us are consistent. By the way, I took this same position in 2013. In the 2013 election, I was a director for political affairs for Raila Odinga's presidential campaign. We lost the election. I used to write a column in the Star, a column I wrote for 8 years, a political column. And the first article I wrote after that election, and after the Supreme Court ruling was done, was that now we need to all accept elections are over and move on and help and support Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, who had actually beaten our candidate. That was the first time I was called names. That's the first time I was accused of, I don't know what I was being called that time. Today it's called simping. The assumption that you're looking for a job, that you have changed your position. This is what most people don't get. And I want to use an example I have used in the past. Let's assume our country is an estate. We live in an estate, and in this day and age, we know how estates work. So every 5 years, our estate goes into an election. We elect a committee led by a chairman and a vice chairman. There's a secretary, treasurer, and a committee of maybe 10 people who have the responsibility of ensuring that our estate operates efficiently and effectively to serve the interests of the residents who live in that estate. This committee is supposed to make sure that we have efficient garbage collection, our internal roads are working, our lights are working, our security is working, our children are safe. We don't have strangers coming in, and we have basic social order in the estate. They're supposed to ensure that we have our boreholes that are in the estate are efficient and they're working, that we have metered water, we have efficient water, We have a clinic in the estate that's supposed to be running. So yes, this is an upmarket estate, but our country is a serious country. So every 5 years, we choose a leadership, a committee. And let's assume you're part of the people who've been running to be part of the leadership of this committee, and you win, right? What do you, when you get into office, since you live in that estate, yes, you might divert the garbage collection work to a friend of yours. You might divert the security service provision to a friend of yours. But essentially, you actually want you want the estate to work, right? Let's assume that you were running for office and you lost. Again, my assumption is, once the elections are over and you have lost, you also want the estate to work, right? And this is where I come from when I make the decisions that I make, when I do make them. I have been in an election where I was on the wrong side, the candidate lost, and I said, let's support the candidate who won. That was in 2013. In 2017, I was on the side of the candidate who won, and I was consistent. I expect everybody to support the candidate who has won. In 2022, I was on the side of the candidate who lost. And again, I was consistent. Let us support the candidate who won. I want to assume that everybody who lives in this estate we call Kenya wants Kenya to succeed. That nobody wakes up every day to do what they can to make Kenya fail. That's my assumption, And when I look around and part of even the work I'm doing here, the conversations I'm having with the public who follow me and who listen to my videos, what I'm trying to get us to understand is that our primary responsibility as citizens of this country is to root for this country to succeed. Today, the president of this republic is William Samoei Ruto. I didn't vote for him. But do I want him to fail? No. Because if he fails, then what happens to my country? In the last term, the president was Uhuru Kenyatta. I've rooted for him in 2017. He passed. I continued rooting for him and supporting him with everything I've got, with my intellect, with my time, and my resources. Why? Because his success is my success. My children are safe. My friends are safe. I live in a country that is safe. When we have security that works, when you have hospitals that work, then our country succeeds. So the question then I tend to ask people who we were working with in supporting Uhuru Kenyatta, who now seem determined to do everything they can to make William Ruto fail, is that assuming he does fail, assuming he fails, then what happens to the country? Do we expect a picture where the government of the Republic of Kenya will fail and the country continues to succeed? Have we looked around? You know, guys, 11 months are finished. Essentially, we're getting to the 11 months since the last election. We have 4 years and 1 month, or thereabouts, before the next election. Let's assume, even for purposes of argument, that William Ruto will never be your candidate. In 4 years, and in around 4 years, you have an opportunity to make the decision to make sure he doesn't become president again. However, for the 4 years that are remaining, he is a president. He has the power to determine budget. We were fighting about the finance bill the other day, right? Part of the problem with that finance bill was the amount of propaganda that was thrown at it, that we couldn't even have a balanced conversation. We now have a budget. Nobody's talking about that, you know? I see Azimio, my former colleagues, have called for a public baraza. And I put quotes to it because even the last time I called for public barazas, I said, these are going to end up being street protests. I suspect that in their plan, Azimio would like us to get into the street at some point. I don't think it's going to happen this time because also the public has seen. Azimio uses public street protests as a part of negotiating for power. Because you'd ask yourself, what changed? When the last time there was maandamano, what has changed as far as the livelihood of Kenyans is concerned, that they stopped calling for maandamano, started a conversation with the Kenya Kwanza government. What were they negotiating for? Right? So what would they say that has changed now that they're calling people back to the street? Most probably what has happened is that they're feeling like they're not getting into government as quickly as they want. Right? So it would be a bit embarrassing for Kenyans to imagine that that the leadership, Raila Odinga and the Azimio leadership, is calling maandamano for the public. No. They want to have part of the influence of running the government. They want to be able to call the president and tell him, no, don't do this. They want to be able to affect him and how he's running the country. That's what they're negotiating for. And it's important for us to understand that what Azimio is negotiating for is the capacity or the permission to be able to influence the Kenya Kwanza government as it makes decisions. They want to be able to influence them when they're making the next finance bill. They want to be able to influence them when they're making the next budget. That's what they're fighting for. Now, whether that influence is going to help the ordinary Kenyan or not is out there. But I want us to keep within this conversation. Aristotle said that thing which is common to the most receives the least care. When you have something that belongs to everybody, it tends to receive the least care. Kenya belongs to all of us, right? It would be important for us not to get to the point where we are least worried about it, because all of us are responsible for it. Some of us, and this is where Patriots come in, and that's this movement that is developing called Patriots KE, something I support very strongly, that we need to have individuals whose specific purpose is the success and the continuity of the Kenyan state, nation state. People who are able to see beyond the leaders that come and go, right? I was a member of parliament last time. I'm not a member of parliament now, but my commitment to the country is the same. I want Kenya to succeed. I want Kenya to succeed for myself, for the businesses I do, for my family, for my friends, right? I will not wake up every day to look for the negative. I'll actually look for the positive, as hard as it might be to find that positive. Sometimes you have 10 things that are happening, 8 are negative, 2 are positive. I have a decision to make. Do I focus on the 8 negative or do I focus on the two positive? Maybe if I focus on the two positive and push it hard enough, I will reduce the 8 negative to 6, to 4, to 2. That's my purpose. And the conversations we're going to be having, that you see us having in Nairobi, you see us having in here, and we're going to start coming to the public. I'm going to start inviting people. I'm going to start inviting leaders and opinion makers in the country to sit with me and let's have a conversation about the Kenyan nation state. You're a business person. Do you want Kenya to succeed or to fail? You're a religious leader. Do you want Kenya to succeed or to fail? You're a politician. Do you want Kenya to succeed or to fail? That is a conversation I want us to have. And if you want, because I don't know somebody who will tell me they want Kenya to succeed. The next question I'm going to be asking you is what you do every day. The posts you put online, the conversations you have with your friends at the local. Does that take you to where you want to go? Do you actually want this country to succeed? Or do you want it to fail? Are you acting in a way that is going to make this country succeed or that is going to make this country to fail? I have dedicated my time, my intellect and my resources to help this country to succeed. I'll put my mind to it. I'll help if I can get an opportunity to help the president and give him an idea that could actually add value, I will give it to him. If I can get an opportunity to help the deputy president or a minister, any of them, I will do that because I want this country to succeed. And they're here only for a season. They're going to be here for 4 years. They're going to be here for 9 years. But at the end of it, they will leave. And somebody else is going to take over and lead this country. And we need to have this country connect to the next administration. This administration might not be what you want. It's not what I voted for. But now the administration we have, and we don't have another one standing somewhere on the side. We don't have the kind of system of government we have, doesn't even have a shadow cabinet. So this is the administration we have. We have a majority and a minority in parliament. 2 voices. Each of them is supposed to be speaking towards taking this country forward. Let us not have anybody who is looking for opportunities to undermine the country, to undermine the government, to undermine the leadership of the country for their own selfish interests. Criticize the country, criticize the leadership, criticize the cabinet, criticize the president or the deputy president. That, do it. But criticize constructively to build, not to destroy. That's the conversation. That's my point for this week. As you think about next week, this call to start street protests by the opposition is something we need to discuss as a nation. I see the Supreme Court has affirmed the Public Service Order Act, where you can actually be held accountable for losses incurred for a demonstration that you called. I think that's a good thing. As I said, I went to court and I got an order that affirmed that, because it's not everybody who is demonstrating. I want to be able to go about my business. You demonstrate, exercise your right. Let me exercise my right not to demonstrate, and your right should not interfere with mine. I want to be able to go about my business or just chill. So that was a good decision by the Supreme Court. I want to see how Azimio is going to implement the next call of street protests. Are they going to be responsible? Are they going to focus? Or are they going to want to destroy the country? I hope not. We have leaders even in Azimio who have paid the price for where this country has reached. Let them not start shooting the country down because they didn't make it to leadership. There's always another chance. So anyway, let's see how next week goes. Next week, I want to have a conversation about coffee. There was a 3-day forum that was held by the Deputy President in Meru, and I've been trying to do my research to understand the output of that particular meeting. And I'm going to be sharing that with you next week. So look out for that. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Kenya.